What's up guys, it's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to the parking garage and the crapshoot that is Boston Harbor Encore. It's a Thursday afternoon, 4 p.m. right now. I think it's February 14th. I actually don't know what day it is, to be honest with you. I want to start including that on each vlog so you guys know what day I'm recording, but it is really packed in here. Like, I'm on the 4th floor and you can see that the entire parking garage is just packed. No idea why, but we're gonna see what happens, see what the poker room looks like, and we're gonna hop into some hands once we get in there. We're gonna play some 1-3, see what happens, and besides that, you guys don't care about anything that I'm saying right now, so let's get into the interesting part, and let's get into some hands, and let's get into some dicey spots here, and let's try to not walk right into a car. That would be sick. Nope, no one is letting me pass. All right, that's cool. Thanks, guys. I'll see you guys upstairs. Let's get started in these hands. So one of the first hands that we actually go ahead and look down at, we have pocket eights, and we're going to be playing this from the hijack. There's two early position limps, and the middle position player raises things up to $13. He's a pretty big stack and obviously covers us since we're starting with $300. So myself and two of the early position limpers go ahead and make the calls. So we're off to a flop multi-way. Flop comes 8-5-3, two spades out there. So flopping top set right off the bat here. Middle position player c-bets $21. He's been pretty active from what it looks like, and he's been c-betting a lot, so definitely could be c-betting with air. I'm just going to be flatting here in position. Any non-spade turn, definitely going to be raising things up, but let's go for a lower variance route and just call this $21, and the undergun limper makes the call as well. We're going to a turn three ways. The turn comes the 9 of clubs. It's a card that doesn't really change a whole lot from my perspective, and here when action checks to me, going to be charging spade draws, going to be charging some weird straight draws, or even some like over pairs or a 9x hand. So I go ahead and bet $70. An undergun player jams his entire stack for $500 total. Middle position player folds pretty quickly, and here I'm not getting out of the way here. I have about $274 in my stack. Flopping the set here, not going to be folding ever, so I just snap call, and he shows us the bad news. We're up against 6-7 of hearts, so he got there with the straight. So we're needing the board to pair. Let's go to a river, see what happens. The river is another 9, so we do end up boating up. We suck out big time against Isaac here. He actually watches the channel. So thanks for watching the channel and being a good sport about it. Sorry to suck out on you here on this pretty big pot. Second hand we're involved in, we have ace jack offsuit in the cutoff. Once again, an early position player limps, and the middle position big stack player goes ahead and raises things up to $12. Here, actions onto me. I could definitely be 3-betting, but I don't really know what his range could be, but for this small sizing, we're just going to call in position in the cutoff. So there are actually 4 callers, so let's go to a flop 5 ways. The flop comes ace, queen, 8, all hearts, and action checks to me, which is really strange. So here, top pair, going to be charging for flush draws once again. So I go ahead and bet $30, and it folds all the way back to the middle position pre-flop raiser, who puts in the check raise to $60. This is a spot that I don't love, definitely behind a lot of the time, and I think I'm folding to a lot of check raises here, unless it was specifically a min check raise. So here, just going to have to call the $30 and evaluate a turn, probably going to be folding a lot. So I go ahead and call the $30 more, and we're off to a turn. Turn comes the 7 of spades. He bets $90, and here, don't really have to think about it too much here. Behind a lot of hands like ace queen that's in his opening range, ace 8, really anything, or even a flop flush as well. So I go ahead and fold, and he shows us the very standard jack 3 of hearts. So we're in for an interesting one, big stack, mixing things up, and we're hoping to get involved. Next hand, we're in middle position with ace 4 of hearts, sitting with about $540 in our stack. There's an undergun limper. The action big stack player from that raised the last 2 hands raises things up to $13. The player to my right makes the call, who seems to be pretty passive and active as well. And here, seeing how wide this early position opening range is, well, we're definitely going to be 3-betting with our suited wheel ace. So I go ahead and 3-bet to $55. The pre-flop raiser makes the call, loose player, and also the player to my right makes the call, which I don't love too much. Really wanted to go heads up to this. I know this player has been pretty active to my right, but also just really want to go heads up with it. But let's go 3 ways to a flop, which comes ace, 9, 10, all clubs. These monotone boards right now are a killer. So the early position pre-flop raiser checks. The player to my right actually leads out for $55, and I'm in a really weird spot. From watching this player play, he's been pretty passive, and here showing some aggression means he's got to have a strong hand here, maybe a flopped flush. an ace X kind of hand, but for only betting $55 is really strange as well, just a third of the pot. I can't really find a whole bunch of hands that I beat for value. Maybe some random hand like king queen offsuit with the king of clubs, trying to buy a pretty good price and having a pretty decent draw as well. So I decide to make the call, and the pre-flop raiser folds. So we're going to a turn heads up. Turn comes the 3 of hearts, and he once again leads out and bets $75. Here, I just don't feel comfortable with this. Like I said, he's a really passive player, so I think with all his ace-x hands or even flush draw hands, he would just check call in this spot. Here, I can't really find a whole lot that I beat for value. So at the end of the day, as much as I am priced in, I feel like I'm dominated so often. And like I said, really the only semi-bluffs or blocker bets that I beat and hands that I beat would be king queen with the king of clubs. That's really the one hand that I beat here anyways. So at the end of the day, I just fold, and it seemed like we made a pretty good laydown. So later on in the session, he told me that I made a pretty good fold when I told him I folded a pair of aces. So seemed like he definitely had us dominated and crushed, and we got away from that on the turn. The hand following that, we have 8-7 offsuit in the small blind. We're playing this because it's a 4-way limped pot, so let's just go ahead and go for it. Flop comes king jack 7 rainbow, so flopping bottom pair, not really great for us, so we check, and action actually ends up checking all the way around. So we get to see a free card. Free card is the 8 of clubs, bringing in a backdoor flush draw, but we improved to bottom 2. Here, I just go ahead and throw out a tiny bet, $6, see what happens. We get 2 callers, and we get more action because the late position player jams $72 total. With bottom 2 pair, my hand is just too strong to fold here given this line. It doesn't look like it's really for value too often, so I go ahead and make the call for $72 total, and the other players fold, and we're off to a river. The river is a king, so we got counterfeited from our 2 pair, and he shows jack 9 of clubs for a bigger 2 pair. So, hey, we even it out, I guess, Isaac. I sucked out on him once, and he sucked out on me again, and this time was just a lot less than the first time. This next spot is quite a doozy, so let's go ahead and just talk about it. We have ace-7 of spades in late position. This early position player opens it up for $12. He's a pretty fun player, I would say. The player on my right makes the call, and I decide to make the call as well in position. Then actions onto a small blind player who 3-bets us to a whopping amount of $31. $31 is not going to generate too many folds as all 3 of us make the call, so we're in position and off to a flop. The flop comes in 9, 8, deuce, 2 spades out there, so pretty good flop for us with a nut flush draw and backdoor straight draw. Small blind leads out and throws out a bet of $40. The player to my right makes the call, and here, just given the amazing, beautiful price, we decide to just flat as well and evaluate a turn. Turn comes the 6 of diamonds. What a great card for us. Open-ended now, and the small blind bets $65. Once again, the player on right makes the call, and here I have a decision to make. I don't have a whole lot of money behind, and here I think I just kind of want to get the money in now. As much as I definitely could just flat call since I'm like the most beautifully priced in ever. I have a monster draw, and I decide to go ahead and stick it all in. I only have $192 in my stack, so I jam knowing I don't have a whole lot of fold equity. Probably would love this jam a lot more if I had $250 or so, but I go ahead, jam, monster drop. The small blind snap calls, which is crazy. The player on my right thinks about it for a while and ends up making the call. So we're hoping to triple up here. We got all the money in. There's some side action going on to the river if need be. Let's try to hit our cards, see what happens. The river comes the beautiful queen of spades sitting with the nut flush now. We're definitely going to be taking the main pot, that's for sure. And the small blind jams to $150 left in his stack. Middle position player snap calls with jack 10 offsuit. So he river to straight, and I take down the main pot. CK, shout out to you for winning this one, winning the side pot there. The small blind who snap called my jam didn't show, so maybe an overpair or something like that, but we'll take it down for sure, and we triple up. The next hand we actually play is another pretty big pot. I don't think one player opens it up to $15. There are 4 callers and actions onto me, sitting in the big blind with 8-9 offsuit. Not a great hand, but certainly thought about folding, but definitely not going to be folding since we're going multi-way, and I only have $12 more to call. So we flick in 3 red chips, and yeah, we're going to play these connected cards. The flop comes jack 10-7 rainbow. You got that right. Oh my goodness, what a flop. Action checks to the undergun player who c-bets $50. The middle position player jams his entire stack for $122 total. and action's onto me sitting with the flopped straight. I think about it for a little bit, and I decide on calling is the best route here. The pot is reopened here, so the player on the gun could rejam or something like that, but I think that if I was to 3-bet here, I scare away literally all the cards that he could have. Hands like ace king would definitely call the additional $70 more, and over pairs, one pair kind of hands would probably would definitely be folding to my 3-bet as well. So I go ahead and just smooth call the 122. Then the under the gun player jams his entire stack in for $400 plus. I snap call with my straight, and we're off to a runout. The runout comes the 6 of diamonds and the deuce of spades, so we are still sitting here with the nuts. We show our hand knowing that we're good here. The under the gun player, Isaac, shout out to you. He shows pocket aces. Middle position player shows pocket kings. And 8-9 offsuit cracks both of those hands on that flop, which is absurd. If middle position player actually played that correctly in 3-bet, then I'm never in there. And yeah, but we'll take it down. 8-9 offsuit, 8-9 trash. Cracking aces and kings is something you don't see too often. The very next hand, we actually pick up black aces ourselves in the small blind, so that's wild. Middle position player opens it up to $10. A button player makes the call, and here in the small blind, let's go ahead and 3-bet to $45. And we only get one player in this button to make the call. So we're off to a flop out of position. The flop comes ace, 5, 6, 2 diamonds out there. What a flop. Nothing can get too much value from other hands since I do have top set right now. So I go ahead and check. There's definitely merit for betting, but I just decided to check this time. The turn comes the deuce of diamonds, so not a great card for us, but we definitely are too strong to check it. So I go ahead and throw out a bet of $50, and he makes the call. We're off to a river. The river comes the king of diamonds, so we're kind of screwed here. I check, and he checks it back. I show my hand, and he shows 8-9 offsuit with the 9 of diamonds. So in back-to-back hands, 8-9 offsuit cracks aces. That's wild. Next interesting spot, we are sitting with a pile of chips, and we have 5, 6 of diamonds in the small blind. There's an under-the-gun limp, a middle position player raised to $15, and we're going to the flop 5 ways. So that's what's going on. We're playing 7-handed as well, but going to the flop 5 ways, which comes 6, 6, jack, 2 hearts out there. We are just crushing these boards right now. We cannot miss a hand right now, sitting with trips, and action checks to the pre-flop raiser, who throws out a bet of $15. The button raises to $50, and this is an interesting spot. So the pre-flop raiser just betting so small. The button, who's a pretty recreational player and sitting with about $300 in his stack total. I debate on it, and here out of position, a 3-bet would be best. A 3-bet would definitely be best, and I think he can be calling off this 3-bet with any kind of Jack X hand. So I go ahead with a sizing of $175 out of position. It folds all the way back to the button player, who decides to make the call for $175, and we're off to a turn. Turn comes the 3 of spades. I was mostly going to be jamming on any non-heart turn, so that's what I do. He has only about $120 left. So I go ahead and put them all in. He thinks about it. He looks super aggravated and makes the call. So we're off to a river. The river comes the 3 of diamonds, and he shows king 5 of hearts. So we take that one down with our 6s full of 3s. The last thing that we'll go over in this session, it is something that I have been thinking about for a while. So let's just go ahead and talk about it. We're on the button, and we're playing 4-handed, which is absolutely crazy. The table, people just walked away. I don't know how we ended up playing 4-handed, but we're playing 4-handed. We have queen 9 offsuit, and the undergun player opens up the action to $15. Here on the button, range is going to be so much wider than normal, so I go ahead and make the call for $15, and one of the blinds make the call as well. So we're off to a flop 3 ways. The flop comes queen 7, 4, 2 clubs out there, and action checks to me. Here, sitting with top pair, going to be betting all the time, so I go ahead with the sizing of $30, and we only get the pre-flop raiser to make the call, and he's also sitting pretty deep stacked. He has about like $1,000+ behind, and we cover him obviously. So let's go to a turn. Turn comes the 9 of diamonds, so we're turn top 2, and once again he checks to us. Here, having this board locked up right now, I think his holdings and range could contain a lot of draws. So here, just going for a sizing of $65. Let's get some value. He thinks about it and actually ends up check raising us to $150. Like I said, we're playing $1,000 effective, and I go deep into the tank right here with this check raise. There aren't too many sets here because I think sets would lead out on the flop as well, and also we're playing four-handed. So sets seem pretty unlikely. He's a pretty good player, so hands like Queen 7 and Queen 4 are definitely out of his range. So that really only leads to combo draws. So hands like Jack 10 of clubs, King Jack of clubs, us sitting with the 9 of clubs blocks a few of those combinations, but hands like that make a lot of sense. Maybe even a hand like King Queen of clubs. Some sort of combo draw makes sense facing this check raise. There's only one combination of pocket 9s that would make some sort of sense as well. So here I'm very confident that I'm ahead, and we're playing so deep that I can definitely comfortably 3-bet in this spot and evaluate the river. So I go ahead very confident in my hand right now that I'm ahead with top 2. I 3-bet to $400. Just kidding, we misclicked. We actually ended up putting an extra $100 chip in there, so we 3-bet to $500, which is just such a large sizing, and not happy about it at all. But we did it. It was a misclick, but we're gonna go with the $500 sizing. He tanks now for a while and ends up making the call. So we're off to a river. The pot has ballooned up here, so we're playing a massive one and hopefully see a blank river card. The river comes, the ace of clubs, just the worst card that I could ever ask for. He goes ahead and jams his whole stack in there, $524 total. This is miserable. I don't feel confident at all in my hand right now, and I think at the end of the day, I literally have a very strong bluff catcher, basically sitting here at the top of my range, but this card is just the worst. Not only does it bring ace x 2 pairs better than ours, that he could potentially have, which I don't think he would have, but that also ruins it. The flush draw gets there, obviously, and we're feeling miserable. So at the end of the day, I'm getting better than 3-1 on a call. It's about $524, and he bet 524 into like 1,100, give or take, so 1,600-ish in the middle right now, and I have to put 500 in. This is really miserable and gross, and I feel awful about this. I tank for a while, and like I said, combo draws make the most sense on the turn there. And this is the card that completes all of those combo draws. So at the end of the day, I don't feel good about it, but I did toss in the crying call given the great price that I have. It's 3-1. It's a lot of money in there, and I just couldn't find the fold button. And we are not good because he shows us Jack 10 of clubs, which is one of those hands that I put him on. At the end of the day, just had a really tough time folding when I know that I should be folding a lot of the time. Just really gross. And I think the main thing that's really kicking me right now is the fact that when I misclick the 3-bet of $500 instead of $400, it makes my fold a lot harder to make on the river given the effective stack sizes and the size of the pot. If I made it 400 like I originally planned on it, then I'm facing a $624 jam into about $800, $900. So the price and the odds there are significantly worse, and I can make the fold a lot easier there. So here, just not great. I don't love it. Lost a really huge pot, and this is the last hand that we actually played this session. And we're off to the outro to gather my thoughts and kind of talk about how I felt real time after that hand. Okay, guys, so I have been thinking about this hand for a while, for at least, I don't even know how long actually, but it's been at least like 20 minutes. Just after that hand happened, I took a step back from the table and just kind of walked around, sat down, was to myself, and I just left. So that was the last hand that we played this session. A lot to unpack, I guess, and I'm sure I talked about it a lot in the video just before. So I guess I'll talk about like the closing and final thoughts about the hand. I don't know. At the end of the day, I thought that this random thought just came in my head, and it's that I don't think there are any hands that he beats me with on the flop and turn. That's why I was able to confidently 3-bet, because I think sets would have check raised the flop if anything, or sets don't actually check on that flop since there's a flush draw out there. So it made a lot of sense he was on a drawing hand, so when he check called the flop, drawing hands make sense.
Then he check raises the turn, so that makes sense where the turn gave him additional equity and wanted to get me off the pot, and we were playing so deep, so a 3-bet on the turn would have made sense, which is why I was able to confidently do it. So at that point, I knew that I was definitely ahead when I 3-bet, even though I said in the video probably that I'm behind sets, but like I said, this random thought just came in my head. So sets don't make any sense, so I'm definitely ahead on the turn, and then when the river completes the flush draw, like I knew in the heart of hearts, like I was not good, but I was given better than a 3-to-1 price to call, and at the end of the day, I just couldn't find the fold button, even though I really thought that I was bad since that flush draw got there. Jack 10 of clubs made a lot of sense. It was literally one of the hands that I said in my head while tanking that he could have on the turn. So at the end of the day, that is what happened. Unfortunately, lost a really big one. I don't know if I'm either priced in to call, or I'm just really bad at or I'm just really bad and called and made that crying call. Because at the end of the day, like I'm at the point where I knew that Queen 9 was just a really strong bluff catcher, and it's really just total bluffs, which doesn't make any sense. Or he had some equity and got there, and him having, like, I made the read. He looked very comfortable when I was tanking on the river there, and he just looked like he got there. And I don't know, I think I just didn't think he had a bluff. I just honestly didn't think he had a bluff, but I was just too strong to fold, or too bad to fold. One of those two, probably a mix of those two. So those are my closing thoughts. I had a really big stack. I didn't really count how much I had at the peak, but I lost a really huge pot and ended up booking a win still. But obviously, it doesn't feel like a win. Obviously not. So, I mean, I played for 4 hours. I was in the game for 300 and out of the game for 595. So still a really good profit, just that I blew away a lot. So there's that. It's a pretty big blow, and it feels like I got punched in the gut when he showed that Jack 10 of clubs there, because there was a split second where I thought he had Jack 10 offsuit, like a 10 of spades or something like that, and I was good. Obviously that was not the case. So there's that. That hand was big. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you made it this far, please leave a like on the video. Would really appreciate it, because this one hurt a decent amount. And yeah, be on the lookout for more interesting videos, because this stupid shit's gonna happen every time. This stupid shit's gonna happen all the time. I get myself into some ridiculous tough spots. So with that said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.